Wake up, stay awake, be prepared, be attentive, get ready, and wait for the Lord. As we begin the Advent season, today's readings encourage us to remain vigilant, to remain ready, and to remain watchful. They encourage us to wait for the Lord. But our society does not encourage or enjoy waiting. Waiting does not summon up a lot of positive images. Perhaps we recall hearing as children the infamous warning, "Wait till your father gets home." Often the demand to wait sounds an awful lot like no, no, as in wait until you are older. When I was teaching high school, it was hard for my students to wait much more than a day for test results. So I was a never-ending source of disappointment to them. But now I think of it as preparing them for the frustration of waiting for election results or waiting in lines at airports. As we get along in years, waiting for results from medical tests can lead to more than a little anxiety. Regardless of our age, few of us like waiting. We like to think of ourselves as being in control and having power over our destiny. All things being equal, most of us would probably prefer to be holding the remote control of the TV, and metaphorically of our lives. So an admonition to stay awake and to remain vigilant may be taken as a criticism, even as it plays into our fears that some danger beyond our control may be lurking just around the corner. No one wants to be caught in a rainstorm without an umbrella, let alone miss the last call to get on the ark in the middle of a flood. So Jesus reminds his disciples and us to be prepared, to stay awake, to hurry and wait, not just to avoid disaster, but more importantly, so we won't miss the many ways God is present in our daily lives. But what kind of waiting are we being called to? We are probably most familiar with passive waiting. Passive waiting is what you do on most days around 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. if you are sitting behind the wheel of a car. It's what parents do as they sit anxiously at home waiting for a teenager to return from a date. It's what many older people do as they sit by the phone waiting for someone to call. It's what poor people and refugees routinely do as they wait for help, or maybe even just a sign of recognition. With passive waiting, it's easy to feel stuck, and it can bring out the worst in people. But this is not the kind of waiting to which Christians are called. Isaiah and Paul and Jesus are calling us to active waiting. Active waiting involves doing something to prepare for the Lord's coming, so we will be ready when he comes. Active waiting brings out the best in people. In our first reading, the prophet Isaiah encourages us to climb the Lord's mountain to the house of God, that he may instruct us in his ways, and we may walk in his paths. This is an admonition to prayer and to worship. If you haven't already, consider picking up one of the Sacred Space booklets on your way out of church, or check out the daily Mass readings that may be found through the parish app. How might your life be different if you spend some time each day reflecting on the meaning of Advent and your relationship with God. Perhaps, like Isaiah, you will find yourself walking in the light of the Lord as you contemplate God's vision for our world rather than the vision that is provided through your news feed on your so-called smartphone, tablet, or computer. In our second reading, Paul tells us to wake up and throw off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. It is an admonition in line with Isaiah's dream of a world where war has been banished and peace reigns. As part of your active waiting, is God asking you to cast off sinful habits or to be reconciled with someone or the church? During this season of Advent, our parish and many other parishes will be offering numerous opportunities to take advantage of the sacrament of reconciliation. It can be a wonderful way to turn the corner on the dark areas of our past so we may more fully embrace God's love today. In what way are you being called to put on Christ in your daily life? Finally, Jesus encourages us to be prepared so we may be attentive to his coming. He warns against the tendency to become so immersed in our daily routine that we can find ourselves unprepared for the unexpected. How might Jesus be inviting you to break your routine? During this time of waiting, are there things you could do to wait on others? Rather than waiting for someone to call you, is there someone you could be calling? While you are waiting in traffic, perhaps you could spend some time thinking about how you could help those who are less fortunate. As you leave church today, consider picking up one of the remaining tags from the angel tree, or think about other ways you could share the blessings you have received with others. Above all, use this time of active waiting to make Christ present to those you meet each day, and notice how you can see Christ in them. Let us pray that good things come to all those who wait for God's coming this Advent.